Hello and welcome to Amy Hart Mum Club. In this podcast, I'll be sharing the highs and lows of being a mum, plus each week I'll be joined by a special guest and together we'll delve into their experiences of parenthood. And that's not all. This podcast is for you. Me and my gaggle of fabulous guests will be answering your questions to see how we can help you. Now, let me tell you about my guest today. My guest today you will know as the queen of the kitchen for your kids, from babies all the way to big baby adults. She's made sure they get their 5 a day to keep the doctor away. So with over 40 books and her new book, Finger Foods for Babies, out now to buy, I am delighted to welcome to Amy Hart Mum Club nutritionist, harp player and author Annabel Karmel, MBE.
Thank you. It's so lovely to be here.
I should probably do a disclaimer at the start of this episode in that this isn't a completely neutral episode. I have used everything of Annabelle's since I had Stanley, and before that actually, because I saw on TikTok about using the Reggie meals if you're on a diet. So I have literally been an Annabel Karmel convert for about the last 3 years. So this is a bit of a love-in. And I can also talk about how amazing the products are, and it's not even like Annabelle should say it about herself.
Thank you. And we've had Stanley come and eat them in my house.
Yes, we went for a cooking day at Annabelle's, which was
so much
amazing.
Food, and so enthusiastically.
And still now, yesterday I was cooking dinner. He's like, snack, mummy, snack, mummy. I'm like, okay, one more, and then we're waiting for dinner. And he's like, dinner time, snack, snack. I'm like, dinner's literally in 5 minutes. And he's like, snack, mummy, snack. So I gave him a breadstick. So I thought, like, you're not having.
I don't know where he puts it all, to be honest. He should go pop.
I know. Well, we had his 2-year check yesterday, and he is the same. He's 91st percentile for height and weight. So she was like, he's perfectly in proportion.
That's
but
good.
Yeah, 91st.
He looks good to me.
Yeah, he's good. Now let's go back and start at the very beginning. Let's talk about how your career came to be, and your daughter Natasha.
So I was a musician. And I played the harp, which is a difficult instrument. It has 47 strings and 7 pedals. So it's a bit like playing a big musical spider web. And I'm only little. So I did that for many, many years. And I absolutely loved it. And I did things like I was Cinderella in pantomime. And I played in Las Vegas. And I made records. And I studied hard. And I got married. In fact, I was married when I was doing Cinderella, so I hardly saw my husband. There were 56 performances.
I too did panto, and I can guarantee, I can vouch for that. I barely saw
slog.
Yeah.
I decided after that I did not want to do musicals, and I really wanted to have a child. It took me 2.5 years to get pregnant. I was over the moon when I finally did get pregnant, and like every time my period came, it was like a mini heartbreak. You know what it's like. Everybody said there was nothing wrong with me, but you were still stressed out, obviously. Yeah. And I gave birth to a little girl called Natasha. It's over the moon. And it didn't last long, though, because heartbreakingly, she was not looking quite right one day when I went into her room. I eventually took her to see someone. After a lot of persuasion, he didn't really want to see her. And then he told me, like, first-time mothers worry about their children, and she was fine. Went back home thinking I shouldn't have gone to see him, and I shouldn't have disturbed him. Next morning, she looked worse. Took her to see another doctor. I was literally on the doorstep at Harley Street. And then he went out to see somebody else. He said, I got to see another patient. When he came back, he said, I didn't go and see another patient. I was trying to get her a bed at Great Ormond Street. I think there's something wrong with her brain. Couldn't get her a bed. I went to St. Mary's, spent the whole day there. And at 5 o'clock, they did a CAT scan. And then they put these CAT scan sort of x-rays on a light board. And they just told me in a very matter-of-fact way, she'd never be normal again or she might die. And she was transferred to Great Ormond Street, normal ward first day and intensive care 5 days. And then they said they want to have a meeting with me, and they told me thinking part of her brain had gone. They put her in my arms and she died after about 4.5 hours. It was just like heartbreaking. I can't even explain how I felt. It was just, my whole life fell apart. It was like something that happens to other people. And I'd wake up every morning and you'd relive it because you just think it's a nightmare, but actually it was reality. So it took me 2.5 years to get pregnant with her. So I went back to my obstetrician and I said, I don't think I can wait 2.5 years to have another child. I'm at a really difficult time in my life. I feel so unhappy. And he gave me Clomid. And that really helped. I got pregnant within 4 months, which was honestly a lifesaver. And everything was good. My pregnancy was great. But my actual births were always completely chaotic. So I called my doctor to say I was in labour, and he said it'd be a long time yet and stay at home. Called him again and I couldn't find him. Went upstairs and my waters broke. And the head came out. And it would have been a complete nightmare for anyone, but for someone who'd lost a child 1 year previously, it was like I don't think I could go on if I lost another child. Husband delivered the baby, and for 2 hours I was left on the staircase, and I was still attached by the cord. And there was blood everywhere. We'd sold our house. The carpet was yellow. It turned red. It was just chaotic. And I couldn't even get my son close to me to breastfeed. And eventually another doctor came, cut the cord, and I was taken down to the ambulance. And that was the birth of Nicholas. It was a real worry, but he survived. Somehow I survived, and we got through it. And I was wanting have a completely knock me out epidural birth. Ended up having an earth mother birth, which was not exactly what I wanted at all.
Delayed cord cutting is all the rage now.
But it was funny because you went down instinctively on all fours, which seems to me like the best way to give birth. Like lying on your back with an epidural is not the best way to give birth.
Yeah, they say that.
And actually, the actual birth was not too bad. It was just afterwards when I was trying to deliver the placenta that I got a lot of pain. But it was not a terrible birth, just very stressful.
But I read a book called Sapiens, and they were saying that when we used to be on all fours, we were pregnant for 12 months, I think. But then when we started to walk on 2 feet,
is that right? That's
why we went
interesting.
to being pregnant.
Well, I was walking around and then I went on all fours, and anyway, the birth, and he was fine at the end. And it was Nicholas, really. It was the tragedy of losing Natasha, and Nicholas's terrible eating habits. He was literally the world's worst eater. And I couldn't play music anymore. I didn't have the heart to do it. I wanted to do something where I could improve children's lives and give something back. Just something you feel you want to do after you've lost a child. So I was running a play group called Babes in the Wood. I lived in St John's Wood, and we had 100 mothers. And I was talking about Nicholas being a fussy eater, and I was giving all the mums recipes that I had developed for Nicholas, and they were using them. And every week they come back saying, these are amazing. And eventually they said to me, you should write a book about feeding children. These recipes are so good. And I thought, I can't even type. How on earth am I going to do this? And then I thought, this is my legacy to Natasha. I will write this one book and I'll go back to playing music. And I spent 2.5 years writing the book. It was hard because I sent it when it was finished. And it was hard to write because so many experts on nutrition were contradicting each other. Babies don't like bland food, can't give peanut butter until at least 1 year, and all these things that I found out were wrong. So I worked with the Institute of Child Health to make sure that everything in the book was what was scientifically proven and not old wives' tales. And then I sent the book to 15 publishers, and they all turned me down. And then I was playing tennis with somebody who took it to Frankfurt Book Fair, and Simon & Schuster in America took the book. Then we went back to Random House, and it was published by a book packager, which meant I made terrible royalties. But it went on to sell 5 million copies. Wow. And it was this book.
This one, which I can vouch. This is the book that I cooked everything for Stanley. I used to do one Saturday a month, and Sam would take Stanley, and I'd do one Saturday and just fill the freezer of all, started with the purees in ice cube trays, moving up to the stuff like the curries, and it's an amazing, amazing book. So that's the baby and toddler meal plan book, and I can highly, highly recommend that.
Well, that's when I said, babies don't actually like bland food, because I tested this around my table with 20 babies every week. They like the curries and the ones that have flavour, just like us. Don't know where that came from. And this book was all about changing the way you feed children. You need to give peanut butter at 6 months, because delaying the introduction of allergies actually means that they're more prone to developing an allergy. And all these things, and having red meat or something that contains iron at 6 months, having oily fish twice a week, all these things were not really known.
No.
And I thought it was just so important to put it into a book, make it easy, and also give them the simple recipes that they can make that give them the nutrition that they need at that particular time.
We'll talk about the app later, but what I love on the app as well is that there's a whole family section. So it's meals that we me and Sam can have as well, and we cook, but they're great for Stanley. And when I first started using the book and I put it on my Instagram and I said, I'm making the cauliflower cheese today, the amount of people that messaged me we still use that cauliflower cheese recipe every Sunday, because it is just the best.
No, and the fish pie is everybody still makes that. And my son, who's now 34 years old, comes back and he wants to eat my mini minute steaks and my cottage pie from this book. So yeah, don't throw your copy away. Basically,
the curry that's got the mango chutney in it as well.
That's so good.
And
the app now has over 1,300 recipes on it, and every week we add more recipes.
When we're doing our shopping on a Sunday night, I tend to Sam will be okay, what snacks can we have for Stanley that aren't packaged? And I'll be 1 second, and I go onto your app. And this is, I know people are going to be well, she sat there, of course you're saying that. but I do.
Oh,
Go onto your app,
thank you.
go to the snacks bit and scroll down and be like, oh, they look good. I'll put the ingredients in for that. And oh, they look good. I'll put the ingredients in for that. And I've always done that and gone through the book. And
they're good for mum as well and everybody else. It's not just the baby. I think, we're cooking for everyone in the family, even from like 7 months old.
Now, you've got a new book out. So that was your first book. Now, your newest book is the finger foods book. A lot of people are scared of finger foods,
Absolutely.
I think. I know that I did purees from the start with a bit of finger food, but obviously now baby-led weaning is all the rage.
Yeah.
So tell me, sort of, what's the best way to approach finger foods and what are your favourites out of this book?
So actually on our app, we go through every single fruit and vegetable and show you how to cut it and how to cook it so that it's not going to cause your child to choke. So for example, if you've got a carrot and you cut it into round coin shapes, that is a choking hazard.
It's the same size.
Yeah, exactly. But you cut it into a baton and quite large because babies will hold food in their fists. It needs to stick out and it's squishy. That's absolutely fine. A large strawberry they can suck on, that is not a choking hazard. A small strawberry, however, is a choking hazard and you have to cut it into smaller pieces. So all these things that you just need to know. And once you know that, and also you also know that gagging is something that every child will do and they will cough and splutter. And that is because the gagging reflex in a young child is very far forward in their mouth. So they will gag and that is nature's way of protecting them.
Yeah.
And the worst thing you can do is interfere with it. And that's when they go red and they make a noise. But choking is very different. It's when they turn blue and they go silent.
They don't make a noise, isn't it?
So they're two different things. But often when a child starts to gag, parents, I'm not going to give finger food anymore. I'm going so worried about it. But actually it's very normal and you've got to let them get through that stage because that's their way of clearing their throat and not choking.
Because I used to chop strawberries up into teeny tiny little squares. And then we were at your house and we were cooking and Stanley was in the high chair and you just handed him a strawberry. And I was like, oh, can I do that? And you were like, yeah, that's fine. And then you showed me the bit on the app where it shows how to serve everything. And now he's 2 and he just walks around eating whole strawberries and puts them in the bin, which is brilliant.
What gives you that confidence? Also, they don't have the pincer like grip when they're very young. That only happens at 9 or 10 months. So actually the pieces need to be reasonably big for them to be able to pick them up.
One thing, Stanley's got a really good pincer grip and I'm convinced it's we had this toy that was, it's like a wooden block and it's got all the different sized carrots in it.
Oh, so
And
cute.
we used to give him that at every single mealtime. So all he did was pick the carrots out and now his pincer grip is really good. I think that's why.
To let them experiment and feed themselves. That's the only way they'll learn and they'll get better and better at it. Gets into their hair, all over their floor and everything to begin with. But
yeah. What are your favourite finger foods from this book?
I do really like cheesy carrot and courgette stars. And what you do is you push everything into a star cutter and it's grated carrot, grated courgette, cheese, eggs and a bit of flour and you just bake them in the oven and they look so attractive. And little ones, they eat with their eyes. You know what it's like? They often say like, I'm not eating that. And they haven't taken the first mouthful.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to make it look attractive for them to actually pick it up. So that's really, really popular. And like everything in the book is really tasty. We have these broccoli bombs.
I was going to say, the broccoli and chicken croquettes?
Oh, those are great. So sweet potato, broccoli and chicken croquettes, they're so delicious. And that will make a good meal for anyone at any age. And little chicken and apple balls and meatballs. And there's so many recipes in there. Great for the family, great for your baby. And with the air fryer now, which I love, you can just pop a few in the air fryer. You can put the rest in the freezer and take out 3, 4 or however many you need. And the rest, you've always got them in your freezer. So it's super simple.
2 things on that. Number one, I'd given my air fryer to my mum because I'd never used it. And then we came to your house and I literally bought one the next day, a new one.
So good.
A smaller one that didn't take up my entire kitchen.
Yeah.
And then I think I have quite a high level of common sense, but when I came to you and I said about the croquettes, I said, I just can't get the croquettes because I burn them because the chicken's not cooked. And you were just like, why don't you choose cooked chicken to start with?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That is a very good idea. I don't know why I didn't think of that before. So yeah, love you for that. Right, now let's move on to the Q&A. So I put a question box on my Instagram story because I get a lot of questions about me weaning Stanley. So I thought, why not ask the expert? So first of all, we have Cara asks, easy snack recommendations for a 9-month-old.
Well, I mean, almost everything in the finger food book would make amazing snacks. So whether it's I've got a butternut squash and apple muffin, which you can make in bulk and freeze. And then you can make your little veggie balls, the chicken croquettes with the sweet potato. And just like, also like cut up fruit and vegetables, it's not attractive, like obviously, unless it's on the plate and looks really colourful. So I think that's really good. And I mean, just there's so many snacks on my app, like just scroll through and you'll see there must be like, I don't know, 250 different ideas that are really quick and easy to cook and that you'll like. I mean, there's some amazing energy balls in this.
Yeah.
We made different kinds of energy balls. There's a carrot cake ball, which is incredible. No sugar. We use dates and carrot and apple and just natural things to make it sweet.
Yeah.
Children love them and they're super easy to make and you can make them with Stanley.
We made the yogurt bark when we were at yours,
Yogurt
didn't
bark,
we?
great, yeah.
He loves that.
Yeah.
Now, Roz asks me, question for me, which book I used for weaning. Now, so I read Annabelle's book, Weaning Made Simple, when Stanley was about 4 months old, because you know me, I'm a planner, I like to prepare. And I followed, in there's like a 4-week plan. So it's like, am I right in saying the first week is breakfast only?
Yeah,
then
one meal.
And then 2 to 3 weeks, you go to 2 meals, and 4 weeks,
probably
you
by
go
the second week,
yeah.
you probably get to 3 meals.
So what I used to do was make the purees from this book here, the Complete Baby and Toddler Meal Planner. And then I would pour them into ice cube trays and then I'd give him like 1 or 2. And then I started to like mix the different purees together, ice cubes. But then when he started going on to a bigger breakfast, we then sort of, I don't want to say regressed. Then he just went to breakfast and dinner till he was about 10 months old. And then he had 3 big meals a day from 10 months. But yes, the Baby and Toddler Complete Meal Planner is the one that I use the most, but also the app is really helpful as well because everything is divided up into sort of like ages and meal times, and you can filter as well. See, I should just come out with you.
Yeah, but the search is so good. You can put in chicken and broccoli dairy free and all the recipes will come up. You can't do that in a book.
Yeah.
And obviously it has more recipes than any book I've ever written. And it's exclusive recipes to the app. They're not ones you can find in the book. But also it's with you when you're in the supermarket.
Yes.
So if you run out of ideas, and I think we all get a bit stuck in a rut making the same old thing. You just want something quick that takes 15 minutes. Just put in like 15 minutes. Like, want to make something with chicken. All these recipes will come up, whichever age you want, or whether it's a quick and easy family meal or something for Easter, whatever.
Yeah.
Like everything's there.
And also you have like, you do update it with seasonal stuff. I know like when I went for Christmas, like you had all the Christmas recipes on the homepage, which were amazing.
It's now what Easter recipes.
Yeah. Now, Adam's Family Life asks if you have any tips for dairy-free weaning and good substitutes for cheese in your recipes.
Yes. So actually, one thing that's very good on a dairy-free diet is actually tinned salmon, because the tiny bones of the salmon which you mash up, and you can make amazing tinned salmon fish cakes, and they taste really good. And green vegetables like broccoli, they contain calcium as well, and bread contains calcium too. So there are lots of things you can use. I do quite like Violife cheese, which is not a dairy, it's a dairy-free cheese, and I think it tastes quite good. It tastes a bit like Parmesan.
Okay.
It's the best of the bunch, I think, and you can use that as a substitute for any cheese that contains milk.
Okay, amazing. Sarah asks, any weaning tips for a first-time mum that's extremely overwhelmed at the thought of weaning?
Just to realise that there's so many things you can make that you don't even need to cook. Like you can mash a papaya, an avocado, a banana. It's so easy. And, you know, do introduce, as I said, the very soft finger foods. Go through the app and look at how to cook them and how to give them to your child, because I think it's important that they do hold food as well as you give them the purees. And then just look through my books and just find they're so easy, the purees that you make. And then more slightly textured food, but you can make in bulk and you can freeze, so you're not cooking every day. And just follow the recipe. You actually cannot go wrong. And almost everything in the book is like the kind of things you'd have in your kitchen anyway. You don't need to be a good cook at all to use my recipes. It's like painting by numbers. It's so easy.
I think as well, my trick used to be as well is the night before like my new shopping order came, go through your veg drawer and see like what veg you've got left, steam it, and puree it, just so that you don't waste any food as well.
But also realising that there's some really important foods you need to give at 6 months, which people don't realise, and you cannot get them even if you wanted a pouch, because they don't really put salmon in a pouch, and if they do, it's such a small amount. But essential fatty acids are one of the most important things you can give to your child, because that is a big part of your baby's brain development, and they need it twice a week. So I have this recipe which is incredible, and it's so easy because you can cook salmon in a microwave in literally 1 minute.
Yeah, again, I didn't know this until
it's
I went
so
to the
easy.
house.
And then you can just steam carrots. I always steam them because you don't lose the vitamins. And then what I do is I melt a bit of butter and I add some chopped tomatoes and then some cheese, and you make this like cheesy tomato sauce. And actually sauteing tomatoes in butter means that you can you can absorb lycopene, which is a really important antioxidant in tomatoes. You can't get them from raw tomatoes. And then you just chuck everything together, your salmon and your steamed carrots and this cheesy tomato sauce. And it's the most unbelievable food for your child because it gives you those essential fatty acids, which is so important. And I guarantee that every child is going to love that. Such a good recipe.
I think I made that one, and I also made a salmon one that had orange juice.
Oh yeah, oh my God, that's such a funny one. That sounds like, when you look at it, you think, how on earth she come up with that really odd recipe? But it's so easy. It's a piece of salmon and you put it into a microwave dish. You put some fresh orange juice. I usually use freshly squeezed orange juice, some grated cheddar and some crushed cornflakes.
Yes.
Very odd combination. You put them in the microwave for about 2 minutes and the whole thing's cooked. And then you just mix it all together. When I made it, my photographer there and a few people were there in my kitchen. They all like very kind of suspicious about trying it. And then they all loved it. It's an amazing recipe.
Yes, like Stanley loved it. Okay, Estelle asks, my 2-year-old doesn't like much texture in his food. Please help.
Just a funny thing. Often they won't eat something that's lumpy, but they will eat finger food. Or they will have an ice lolly. So I make my ice lollies out of things like cooked beetroot with strawberries and raspberries and a bit of apple juice, so they're actually having vegetables and fruit. So if they won't chew on something that's a bit lumpy, give them the finger foods. And also I find that they don't like surprise lumps. So you're probably better off using one of their favorite purees and putting tiny pasta shapes cooked into it. So it's overall a different texture rather than it's smooth and then get the surprise lump. That should work.
So would
well.
you recommend for
So I love
younger
orzo,
children?
because orzo looks like rice, but it's actually pasta. And I find that children love it. There's so many orzo recipes on the app, which are really great, really simple, that would be great for the whole family.
Yeah.
And they're really, really popular.
Maria asks, my little one is 6 months old and eats 150 grams of puree, but the veg ones do not fill her up and she still wants milk after an hour. How can we make the first stage purees more nutritious to fill her up? But they're still meant to be having milk until they're 1, is that right?
So they need 500, 600 mils of milk a day, but they are getting some of that probably in their food, like if you're doing cauliflower cheese or something with cheese in it, or they're having yogurt. So I wouldn't angst about it too much. And having too much milk will often mean that they're not getting the nutrients they need, because milk isn't a really good source of iron. So that's why you need red meat. She's right, you need iron. So red meat, lentils, these kind of foods are really good. The essential fatty acids, which I talked about. And she's right, because from 6 months, you actually need, and this sounds like really hard, but you need to have iron twice a day. But it's not that difficult, because if you have a breakfast cereal, that usually contains iron, but you have to give it with vitamin C. You can't absorb plant-based iron without it. So give kiwi fruit, strawberries, something like that. Then for lunch, you could have scrambled eggs. That contains iron.
Yeah.
And then you can have like dark meat of the chicken or beef. So it's not difficult to have 2 sources of iron a day. And then twice a week, you need to have your salmon. I mean, that recipe would actually do it for you. And she's right that you can't just give fruit and vegetables. And that's something that often goes wrong, because now we introduce food a little bit later, around 6 months. You can't just give fruit and vegetables for the whole of that month, because your baby's iron that they've inherited from their mother has really started to run out by the age of 6 months. So you need to quickly move on to iron-rich foods and foods containing essential fatty acids. And actually, you can give simple solids from 5 months. That means you have the opportunity to then introduce the iron and the essential fatty acids at 6 months. It's not that they're not physiologically able to have it. They are, but it has to be very simple solids at that age.
I've had quite a lot of questions about weaning when people have allergies, or not weaning when people have allergies, but like sort of the continuation once allergies have been discovered, being able to get a balanced diet when people do have allergies.
Yes. So I think it, understandably, is a big concern amongst parents, especially parents who might have an allergy themselves. But what's reassuring is that allergies are not inherited. What is inherited is a propensity to have an allergy. And that means if a child has eczema, they are much more likely to have an allergy. And if you suffer from eczema or asthma or hay fever, your child is more likely to have an allergy. But that doesn't mean that you don't give them these potentially allergenic foods. And in fact, you need to give them early. And delaying them means that they're more likely to get an allergy. So give peanut butter from 6 months. And in some cases, if your child has very severe eczema, go and see a pediatric allergy specialist, because you may need to give it from 4 months. Now, that sounds odd, but you have this window of opportunity where it can help prevent your child developing that allergy. So do go and see one. And egg allergy. Interesting, because that is actually the most common allergy. People think it's dairy, but it's not. It's eggs. But in my day, they said don't give them any eggs at all. Don't give them a biscuit. Don't give them anything with egg. Now we know that it's actually really important to give like maybe baked egg in a meatball or a nugget or in a biscuit or a cake, because that small amount of egg can help them grow out of that allergy. And allergies to dairy and egg, it is quite likely that your child will grow out of it. Less likely if your child has nuts. I actually am working with a really interesting lady, and she's developed this, it's worth looking at. It's called Baby Are You Nuts? And basically it's all these different powders of different types of nuts and different types of seeds you can add to your baby's food. So you introduce them from 6 months. And it makes it really easy to make sure you've introduced all these potential allergies to nuts and seeds.
See, with Stanley, I thought he had a nut allergy because whenever he had peanuts, and we didn't sort of, so like, for example, the first time I gave him a tiny bit of peanut butter, later on that day, I had a babysitter around, I was working upstairs, and she was like, Amy, he's been sick again. And it was like, but it was milky sick. So I thought, oh, he's teething, like it's just, everything's really acidic. And then I gave him peanut butter on toast, and he went to my mum's that day, and she's like, he was sick all over the car today. I think he must have eaten too much afternoon tea, because she'd taken him for afternoon tea with her friends. He must have eaten too much and then got in the car and then been sick. And then I gave him peanut butter on toast again, and then we came out of swimming, and he just was sick everywhere. And it sort of all just like all clicked together in my head.
Every time he had the peanut butter.
So we got referred to the allergy doctor. We went in, and he had the full allergy test, no allergy. So I've looked it up, and I think it's something called like FPs, which is it's more of a stomach issue than actually like an allergy.
It's good that you went to have him tested. Yeah. Sometimes people take a really important food group out of their child's diet without being properly tested, and then they think they're allergic to it, because there are not that many children that actually have allergies. Obviously, it is important if you do have an allergy that you know how to balance your diet. But to take the food out without actually knowing is not a good idea. So always get it checked by a doctor. So he's not allergic to nuts. He's
not allergic to nuts. He's just sick every time he has it. So I Googled this. Someone suggested
every time, even now?
Every time.
Oh, really?
So it says on there, like, the best, that there isn't really a cure for it. It's just avoid them. So I'm like, do you know what? Like, my best friend, I was having, my best friend's sister does my hair. So we were all at her mum's house. Like, Hannah had the 2 kids, like my child and her child and stuff. And she's going to kill me for saying this on the podcast. But she came in, she was like, I've just given Stanley a flapjack. And then I remembered that it's got a massive tablespoon of peanut butter in it. He wasn't actually sick that time. So maybe the fact that it was cooked was different. But I was like, but do you know what? I know that it's not an allergy. It's not going to be anaphylactic.
Yeah.
So if he has it by accident, at least he's just going to be sick. Okay, so my last question, because I had so many questions about this. What is the best way to get children of all ages to eat vegetables?
So, obviously it's the way you cook them. I mean, at school, when they overcooked vegetables, it's enough to put you off eating anything green or broccoli. So I find that children do quite like things like broccoli. You call it little trees, and you turn them upside down so they can pick it up with their fingers. But, if that doesn't work, then you can always hide vegetables to begin with. So I do an amazing hidden vegetable spaghetti bolognese, which I always make in my house. I love it. It's actually from this book, My Fun, Fast and Easy. And it tastes incredible. And there's like mushrooms, red pepper, courgette, obviously tomatoes. It's got loads of different vegetables in it, and they're all hidden. And I do like vegetable burgers, little vegetable balls in here. And you can do stir fries with a nice sauce. There's just so many things. And also the way you cook vegetables. Like, my children never liked cauliflower. And then I wrote a book called The Busy Mum's Cookbook. And I actually roasted the cauliflower in the oven. And that caramelizes the natural sugars in the cauliflower. And they absolutely loved it. And from that day, they ate cauliflower. This thing like sweet potato is so much better for you than potato, because potato actually isn't one of your vegetables. It's a starch. So sweet potato, which is orange, it's actually the pigment that contains all the goodness. You roast them in the oven, they're absolutely delicious. So why not give that instead of giving potatoes? And children love it. Or get a spiralizer and make, instead of giving spaghetti, give like courgette spiralized. It's actually really easy to do, and so simple, and they're really cheap to make, cheap to actually buy. But I think it's just about experimenting with different ways of cooking veg. Some say like them raw; they don't want them cooked, like they like raw carrots, things like that. Sugar snap peas. Try some different vegetables. Corn on the cob. It's a fun way to eat.
Danny's obsessed with corn on the cob at the moment.
Yeah.
So we have literally a whole bag of them in the freezer.
I love it. You can put little things at the end that are quite fun.
And it's quite good for if dinner's not quite ready yet. It will take me like 3 minutes to heat one of those up. And I'm like, right, you eat that while I cook dinner.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I loved from, I think it's on the app or maybe one of the books, is you've got a 5 hidden vegetable tomato sauce.
Oh, that's really good.
So I made a massive batch of that and froze it in portions. So it'd be like, oh, I'll put that with pasta or put that with chicken. And when Stanley got obsessed with ketchup, I started trying to substitute ketchup for that. Like if he was going to dip chips in it and stuff.
It's super easy to make. And as you say, you can use whatever vegetables are in your kitchen at the time. And that's a great way to get your children to eat vegetables. I mean, my children love salad. This is an interesting thing. They want salad more than anything else. And I made this salad dressing, which is kind of a Japanese style salad dressing. It has ginger, soy sauce. It has like tomato puree, celery, onion, all amazing things in it. Hardly any oil, so it's really good. It's on my app. And now all they want is salad with that salad dressing. And they used to take it to school with them since they were like 7 years old, pour it all over their school food. And that was the only way they would eat their school food. And then everybody, like, they used to take huge bottles and everyone was pouring all over their school food. So I got told off by the cook, like, what the hell's going on?
This is my kitchen, not yours. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. So your new book is out now, Finger Foods for Baby and Toddlers. That's available to buy at all good bookshops and probably the bad ones too. And you've got your supermarket range, you've got Pots for Tots, and of course the app, which I find so helpful. So that's it for another week with Amy Hart's Mums Club. Thank you so much for joining us today. I think we can all agree we've all learned so much. We'll be back next week with another guest. Don't forget, if you've got any questions, Amy Hart's Mums Club at news.co.uk, and we will all try and help you as much as we can. Don't forget to follow us on socials as well, at Amy Hart's Mums Club on everything for the podcast, and at Amy Hart XO for me on Instagram, and at Amy Hart on TikTok. I'll be back next week, so I will see you then.